Hello and welcome to this tutorial of the Carrot framework. Today we are going to talk about adding group filters to your list page. Let's get started. We are going to go back to our component one. From our component one that we have, the training, we are going to add group filters. I'm going to explain them one by one. We have four different types of group filters. First one is the field. The second one is the min-max, and the third one is the database. And the fourth one, which is not in this example at the moment, is group filter array. Let's start with this first one. So the group filter fields allows you to add an input box where they can search. Mostly this will work for all your fields that you've defined here that are more input boxes, emails, text, anything there where the user enters, not select, enters the information on the screen. You can create that as a group filter. Then you allow them to edit for search purposes. The one important thing or one aspect that I should mention here is that the filters you have to define the key for your filters. This is what normally you put it on the URL, and you need to define the actual field on the database, and you have to define also the language tag. So for many years now, our standard has been to keep our keys for group filters very short. As you will see here, FB for a filter by, and whatever the two letter name that you can use here. I chose to use NM for name. The next one I used SN for surname, and the next one I used PD for birthday and GD for gender. Whatever the name you choose, but I think it's always nice and wiser to choose names that are not user to one day, few days, and also not to make it long, because otherwise your URLs will actually look longer. And the min-max is the filter that you are going to now apply on fields where you have like date ranges, time ranges, and all these other things. I think if you remove this and to check what type of group filters we have, what format, see we have date, you have time, maybe you're doing it on a number, or you're doing it on money, which is more your amount of fields. You've been capturing figures. You want to filter where you can filter where amount paid was between 2,000 and 10,000 as an example. So you'll use that as your group filter. So for now we have the date, and this actually the group filter min-max will give the user two sets of columns to input boxes to put the min only or the max only or both of them. So where instance you put in the min, that means to get that from that figure up of max, from that figure down, and otherwise between, which will use the min-max. And the database group filter allows you to also continue adding the table name you're filtering by, as we know that our gender has already been defined as a database. So we follow suit from that point. Continue, we add that, we add the identifier, which is an ID, and we get the field that we want out of the table. And we want in the exact way. And once you have the exact way, we can also sort the data for the field. Another thing in the group filter that you'll notice is the hide in form filter. Mostly this might be used in cases where you have a table that is linked to the table that you are busy working on, but the table that you have, the records are too many. Example being the customer. So customer table and user table can be bigger tables. In that case, the advice is not to find yourself using that for filtering, but you can use them if you want to use them. You can use them so that when somebody is looking at the list of customers, they can actually click then to see what test the data had been captured for that customer. So that will bring you back to the test. Maybe your test of your component one, a component, but we will filter by In that case, maybe you'll have customer here, filter by CM to filter by the customer, but you're not showing it on the form, but you are allowing it to work for you. So in this case, for example, with the gender, I'm just quickly going to go to our browser. So now we look at our list. So you can now see we have the filters here. Say an example like gender, I say male. I click on my filter. You can see all the males are showing. But in cases where this has been hidden, we are going to just quickly go here and then change that to true. So in those cases, still go back to our URL, but you notice that the gender has disappeared from the form itself. But if someone is coming from somewhere with filter by that, it will then show. If it says filter by 2, which is female, to update to show filter by 3, which is other, all the other genders will show. So that instead then allows us to, from anywhere else in your application, can send the URL and append or add the parameter filter by gender or whatever you have and the number, and that will just work. But it will not show you the drop down box on there, because that might be heavy for the browser. If somebody's viewing this application from their phone, that might be a bit too much. So you want to avoid that, not showing it there. But you also notice with the group filter, when working with group filters, that up here in the crowd, call it the breadcrumb, or some people prefer to call it crumb trail, that as you are doing the filters will also show here. Like if I go back and say 1, as you can see, it shows that you are viewing the list of component ones, but you're filtering by. As you add more filters, you can say test on the name to continue doing that and adding those into your content so you can see what you're doing. And another thing in the group filters is I find it as a very key thing for some cases where you really need it, is to use these funnels. These orange funnels that you see, they're very important, because now these funnels allows you to click on them to actually exclude instead of filtering by that. So you want to filter your data, but you don't want to exclude any data where name is test. So by clicking that, it turns red, and you can now click on that. And let's quickly remove our gender. You can remove gender, or otherwise you can, by just clicking on the list component, it will just clear the thing and go back to the default. So for example, on the surname, we can say on demo, or say ABC, for example. So ABC brings us the ABC that matches, but then if you click on that and it turns red, it means we are not going want anything else that doesn't match that. And when you click, it brings everything else but not that. That's how your group filter works in a nutshell. And if you wanted to see other group filters, which I've mentioned earlier, there's a group filter called array. You can also do that and then add an array as a group filter. And what you do, adding an array, let's take marital status for example. Much as we know that the other part was actually a table, the combine marital status, and I can quickly in and field, because our marital status, share, get the language tag. We're not hiding it. And here we want to add an array. I'm just quickly going to do I'm not sure what the marital statuses are at the moment, but I'm just going to put 2 items where we are doing this in an array. So once you have that as an array and if it in there, if you go back to your phone, then realize that the drop down is there with 2. Print me all the ones that are married and single. That is your filter for an array. That's how you achieve that. That's it with this tutorial. Hope you have learned something out of this. We'll catch up soon. Take care.